Okay, here we go with some hints for homework sheet 24. The first section is all about simplifying indices. Now the rule that we're going to use here is that any number to the power p times any number to the power q is the same as any number to the power p add q. And any number to the power p divided by any number to the power q is this any number to p minus q. So there are basically two types of examples. One type is x to the power 4 times x to the power 5 divided by x to the power 2. First thing we do is we use the first rule, okay, on the top. So we have x to the power 4 times x to the power 6. We're going to do 4 add 5, which gives us x to the power 9. The bottom, don't do anything with. Now we're going to use the second rule for dividing, where we take away the powers. And 9 take away 2 is 7, so my final answer is x to the power 7. Second example is where we mix up whole numbers and indices. So 4x to the power 3 times 2x to the power 7. What we do with this question is we deal with these numbers here called the coefficients first of all. And because it's a times sum, 4 times 2 would give us 8. Okay, so that's taking the 4 here and the 2 here and times them together. And then we look at the powers, 3 and 7. Because it's a times sum, we're going to add those, and 3 add 7 is 10. Okay, so treat the numbers in the front as a times, add the powers. Second section is reverse percentages. Okay, best way to show you how to do this is a little example. So we have a t-shirt which is now priced at £20, and this was after it had been in a sale where the reduction was, let's say, 20%. Okay, we want to know what the original price was. What was it before anything happened? Okay, so 100, take away the 20 that's been reduced, gives us 80%, which as a decimal is 0.8. Okay, so we need to work that out first of all. Now, because it's a reverse percentage question, we do the opposite to what we normally do, which is multiply for percentages, so we're going to do divide. So it's going to be 20 divided by 0.8. If you can't do that in your head, then you do a wee sum. 8 into 200. Notice that my 0.8 has become 8 and my 20 has become 200. 8 into 200 is 25, so that tells me that the original price is £25. So do your multiplier, get that part, and because it's a reverse we do a divide sum. Here's another example. Here's a car. Okay, after filling his car up, George has 40% more than he had at the start. So after filling his car up, he's got 40% more than he had at the start. He now has 28 litres in his petrol tank. Okay, so after filling up, he's got 40% more, which means he now has 28 litres. We want to know how much did he have to start with. How much at the start? How much was in his tank at the start? So he's put extra in, so this time it's 100 add 40, which is 140%, which as a decimal is 1.4. It's a reverse percentage, so we're going to do a divide sum. So how much is at the end? 28 divided by 1.4. Again, if you can do that in your head, brilliant. If not, do a wee sum at the side. Turn the 1.4 into 14 times the 28 into 280. 14 goes into 28 twice, 14 goes into 0. So the answer was that you must have had 20 litres at the start. Evaluate indices. What we must remember is that anything to the power of half just means square root. Anything else with a fractional power, like p over q, is measured as the qth root of x to the power p. So for example, if I had 8 to the power 1/3, that means the cube root of 8 to the power 1. Cube root of 8 is 2, and 2 to the power 1 is 2. If I had things like 25 to the power 3 over 2, that means it's a fractional power, so it involves a root. 25 goes there, little 2 goes in there, little 3 goes there. Now the little 2 just means square root, that was the power of half, so the square root of 25 is 5 cubed, and 5 times 5 times 5 is 25. If the power is negative, like 4 to the negative a half, then that means we start off the question by writing it as 1 over. So just turn it straight into 1 over 4 to the power of half. Now put your root sign in. 1 over the square root of 4 is 2, so your answer is a half altogether. The standard form calculations, we treat these a wee bit like fractions. So 4 times 10 to the 6 times 3 times 10 to the 7. Okay, if you had that calculation to do. Now the question will sometimes put these into brackets, right? That does not mean you remove the brackets like you would do normally. What we do is we'll look at the numbers in the front, a bit like we did with indices in the first question. So look at these numbers and do that sum first of all. 4 times 3 is 12, then it's times 10. Next thing we look at is the powers, 6 and 7, and because we're multiplying, we do 6 add 7 to give us 13. The problem is, this number here is not between 1 and 10. So we need to make that 1.2. That means that we need to actually add 1 to the power here, so it's 1.2 times 10 to the power 14. Okay? Think about it, 12 is actually made up of 1.2 times 10. So we're having to put another times 10 in. If we put another times 10 in, the power jumps from 13 up to 14. Let's do a divide one. 8 times 10 to the 6 divided by 2 times 10 to the 4. Okay, again, there might be brackets there. 8 divided by 2 is 4. It's times 10. Look at the powers now. 6, 4. Because it's a divide, it's a take away. 6 take away 4 is 2. And we can stop there because 4 is between 1 and 10. Completing a square should be one of the easier sections. X squared, add 4x plus 3. What we need to do here is make a bracket that's squared. Now what goes inside the bracket is an x at the start to match this x, and then what comes next is half the 4. Half of 4 is 2. Now you ask yourself, what's 2 squared? 2 squared is 4, so how do I get back to 3? By minusing 1. And that's it done. Let me another example. X squared minus 6x plus 2. So bracket squared in the bracket, the x goes in, half the negative 6 goes in. Now, what's negative 3 squared? Negative 3 squared is 9. How do I get back to 2? By taking away 7. And that's my answer. Last section is algebraic fractions. Now the basic rule for algebraic fractions is a over b add c over d is equal to, get the bottom number by doing b times d, which is bd. Get the new top number by doing a times d and then adding on b times c. Okay, that there is the basic rule for both adding and subtracting algebraic fractions. So, example of that, let's do 4 over x add 3 over x plus 1. Okay, first thing we do is we get the new bottom number by timesing them together. So that's x times x add 1. Just leave it like that. Don't remove the brackets, leave it like that. Now top times bottom, so that's 4 times x add 1, plus bottom times top, 3 times x, which is 3x. Now we can remove the brackets on the top, 4x add 4, add 3x. Don't do anything with the bottom. And then tidy up the top, 7x add 4, leave the bottom as it is, and we're done. Right guys, hopefully that helps.